Welcome to MathCast 2. My intended audience is 4th grade, and our learning objective is to create conversion tables for length, weight, and capacity units using measurement tools and use the tables to solve problems. Good morning, 4th graders. Today we will be using conversion tables for our lesson. For today's vocabulary, our first word is multiply, which can also be said as times, and that's this little symbol right here. Our next vocab word is double, and that's when you multiply something just by 2. Some units we are going to be using in our lesson is feet, pounds, yard, ounces, and inches. For our first problem today, we need to remember that inches are shorter than feet. So down here, I have drawn out 1 inch for us and 1 foot. However, you can see on our chart, I did not tell you how many inches are in this 1 foot. So we're going to count and see how many inches are in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in 1 foot, there are 12 inches. Now that we know there are 12 inches in 1 foot, we will be able to find out how many inches are in 2, 3, 4, and 5 feet. First, to find how many feet are in 2 inches, we are going to double our 12. So we're going to take 12 times 2, which is going to give us 24. So in 2 feet, there are 24 inches. Next is 3 feet, so we're going to take 12 times 3, which is going to give us 36. So 3 feet has 36 inches in it. Next is 4 feet, so we're going to do 12 times 4, which is going to give us 48. So 48 feet has 48 inches. And finally, we want to know how many inches are in 5 feet. So we're going to take 12 times 5, which is going to give us 60. So there are 60 inches in 5 feet. For our second problem today, we need to remember yards are longer than feet. Our problem says, I need 12 feet of rope, but it's only sold in yards. So we need to figure out how many yards is 12 feet equal to. Down here, you will see I have already given us a ruler, which is 1 foot. And you can see I have a yardstick, which has 1, 2, and 3 feet marked. So I've written there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So for 2 yards, we are just going to double that. So that is 3 times 2, which is going to give us 6. So there are 6 feet in 2 yards. Next, we want to know how many feet are in 3 yards. So we're going to do 3 times 3, which is going to give us 9. So 3 yards is equal to 9 feet. I also want you guys to recognize the commutative property. So in these problems, since we are doing multiplication, they can be written either way. Our old problems that we already did could have been written as 2 times 3, and since this one is 3 by 3, it is still the same whether they are switched or not. So for our next one, for 4 yards, I'm going to write it 4 times 3, which is going to give us 12. So in 4 yards, there is 12 feet. So I did get my answer that if I need 12 feet of rope and it's only sold in yards, I would need 4 yards. But we're going to go ahead and continue our table, and we're going to do 5 times 3, which is going to give us 15. So we know 5 yards is equal to 15 feet. For our last problem today, we need to remember pounds are heavier than ounces. So I have drawn a little circle here, and this is going to represent 1 ounce. And this big square here is going to represent 1 pound. So I have shown that in this 1 pound, I have counted, and there are 16 ounces. So in 1 pound, 16 ounces. So in order to find 2 pounds, we're just going to double it. And 16 times 2 is going to give us 32. So 2 pounds is equal to 32 ounces. Next, we want to know 3 pounds. So 3 times 16 is 48. There are 48 ounces in 3 pounds. Next is 4 pounds, so we can do 16 times 4, and just remember we can also write it as 4 times 16. It is the same thing, and they are both equal to 64. So 4 pounds has 64 ounces. And finally, for 5 pounds, we're going to do 5 times 16, which is equal to 80. So there are 80 ounces in 5 pounds. Thank you for watching my math cast.